Welcome, everyone. This is Leroy Gaffney, better known as Butter Scud, coming to you live on a Monday with the Go Hard Nation podcast. Coming back from this weekend, it was an interesting weekend to say the least. I had a good time. I watched the Gervonte Davis Ryan Garcia fight, and it didn't change anything for me at all. I probably knew what was going to happen. Garcia would stop him close because that's his destiny, and that what was going on. Oh man, I'm gonna tell you a little background about this weekend and about that fight. What I realized is that us as black folks, man, we are the only people that downplay our own success and artists and athletes because for some reason we have an inferiority complex about black athletes and black people in general. This played out this weekend in the Gervonte Davis fight, which will culminate into a story later that I'm going to tell. But in the beginning, me as a fight fan, as a person that enjoys boxing and the pugilistic assets of martial arts, I grew up in the area in PG County, Maryland. You know, well, my people are from Washington, D.C., but, you know, I pretty much spent a lot of time in the PG County area. And this was in the 80s, early 90s and stuff. It was a place called Palmer Park. Palmer Park is where Sugar Ray Leonard came up as a young boxer, and he turned that area into a fight fan favorite area for those who enjoy boxing. So as me and I have a family member and cousins up that way, we used to watch a lot of boxing. We used to watch fighters. We used to watch a lot of, people coming up in the area that, in the Seat Pleasant area, they had Sean Bay Mitchell. My cousin was a person that was in that. Another friend named Dave, and they were fight fans, and they brought up a lot of people. And we always watched and understood the boxing game. And what that was if you see a certain person that was boxing in the streets or did a lot of things, the smart money was to bet on them so that you could come up. It's more like a play sometimes, man. If you could take a little money, bet on a boxer, or the boxer himself bet on himself, make a win, take the little 10, 20 grand and parlay it into other endeavors. So me coming up that way, I was able to understand how not being black power, but it's kind of investing in your own people. We're one of the few people that we don't invest in our own people, for one, and two, we have no interest in doing it because we really don't, think they gonna win. So coming up, I was like, man, take a few dollars, man, and bet on your friends. Bet against somebody. And the easiest bets to get are when these fighters fight Mexican or non-black fighters, because the people have pride in their fighters. Even though they might not be ready and they may know that they're not ready, they will invest money into their fighters and they will bet on them. Us, on the other hand, we'll go fights after fight after fight, hoping or thinking that this black fighter is going to lose sooner or later. So you'll go through life not taking advantage of the money that's there, fighting fighters. Betting on your friends and fighters to win. I look back later and said to myself, we could have been betting on a Mayweather fight every year, an Andre Ward fight every time they fought. These men went undefeated in boxing. You could have put your money on the big De La Hoya fights, the big fights where they fought Chavez and people like that, and you could have made some money on these fights because Pacquiao, all these, they had high gambling interest because these people were invested in these other fighters and would have spent good money to bet you against your fighter. But us as black folks never used that as a come up. We will always think, well, he's going to lose to Pacquiao. He's going to lose to De La Hoya. He's going to lose to this man and that man. And like you said, we had fighters after fighters, from your Pernell Whitakers to your Andre Wards, to your Mayweathers, to your Bernard Hopkins, to your Roy Jones Jr.'s that we could have bet thousands and thousands of dollars on, and you'd have got your money back because these guys rarely lost. In fact, Andre Ward and Mayweather went undefeated. Pernell Whitaker went years before he was defeated. All these times, a guy on the street, which sometimes, we was at that time street guys, we could have been making money off of these things if you believe in gambling. Now, if you morally against gambling, that's one thing. But if you're able to gamble or you're of the mindset of gambling, these were come-ups for you and the black community, man. Just think if you would have bet $1,000 every time Mayweather fought. You would have been rich right now. When Pernell fought, you'd have been rich. Andre Ward, rich. These are fighters that all you had to do was have a little gumption about them, and you would have made some money off of. They're sure shot bets. Only reason I don't put Mike Tyson in it is because he was highly, his ratio of him you making some money off would have been real low because he was always the one that predicted to win. So you would have had you would have had fair amount of success dealing with Tyson. But the Mayweathers, all those fighters, Madonna and Pacquiao, these was fights that they were thinking he may lose, and they was betting for him to lose. You could have made a lot of money on these fights. So this is the background to what I was saying this week, but things went a little different for me. I'm why you say when you grew up or you deal with the streets a lot, there's a lot of stuff that can happen, man, that would thwart some of your endeavors or ideas, I don't know if I really want to go into the story about my weekend yet. I will, though. It's a little too fresh right now, but I will let you know what went down with me and the Gervonte Davis weekend. I just wanted to come to you this day and say that this was the reason why a lot of us don't make a come up, and I'm really surprised at how we don't make any money off of these fights, because these are ways that we can come up. This is a chance for you to do better, to get better, to come up with a little money and everything like that. The experience that I had this weekend was really wild. A lot of things I wanted to do was it was a different experience, and I think one day I'm gonna tell this crazy story. But for now, I just want to talk about the Gervonte Davis fight, which was made for him to win. Congratulations to that young man for stopping Ryan in the 7th round on just the pure skill of his boxing ability. And for us as black people, we should have realized that this man is a phenom. And what they were doing is they was taking a true box talent and put him up against a YouTube talent. I saw that a lot of women and a lot of non-blacks was rooting for Ryan Garcia to win because basically on his popularity on YouTube, and another thing as far as he had a look that a lot of people like, and they was trying to get behind the young man to stop Gervonte Davis. But us true boxing fans know that he didn't have the skill or the mindset yet to beat a man like Gervonte Davis. Gervonte Davis is a true warrior, comes from a warrior class. That Maryland, D.C. area is no joke when it comes to building strength, power, and endurance in a man, because these are true street areas where only the strong can survive. And, there's a lot of people out here that have family members, and a lot of boxers do have good families. Contrary to what the belief is, there's some of the best boxers come from two family homes and good educated backgrounds and stuff. So don't never let anybody tell you that only savages big win as fighters, and that's not true. You got Sugar Shane, De La Hoya, a lot of folks that have family backings, and their father was behind them. Ryan Garcia, his father's behind him, and there's a lot. Even De La Hoya, there's a lot of fighters, man, that you underestimate. Errol Spence Jr. There's a lot of people, man, that have their fathers on their side and help them through it. Little known is Muhammad Ali's father was in his corner when he was going through. Muhammad Ali's father and brother, but it is rarely mentioned because they don't push the father-son dynamic that boxing is, unless it's maybe like the Spanish Canelo Alvarez or these people are pushed because they have a father-son dynamic that helps them become better fighters. They like to push the dynamic of the single mother of son that made it through, and he didn't have anybody, and he went to, and maybe a trainer made it help him, or mother pushed him to the point, like they're trying to do with Crawford, and they try to do with other people. And this is not necessarily true. Like I say, some of the best boxers come from, a father. Floyd Mayweather, Andre Ward. All these people had father figures to show them how to do and be tough in the boxing industry. We're the only group of people where they try to push single mother raised sons and guys that was homeless and stuff like that to become the greatest fighters around us, because for some reason they feel as though the black man or the black society wants to hear about no father being in the picture. And it's disturbing, because I'm starting to feel as though they're trying to push this look that black men are doomed for failure. Okay, now we're going to go into something a little bigger, man, because another thing that I saw the season finale and the final season of Snowfall, and how they depicted Franklin Saint at the end of that, which is what they're trying to basically say is that you, black man, at the end, you're going to fail. It's all a moral issue. Your mother turned on you because she morally didn't believe in what you did. Your girl left you and took your money. Your friends turned their back on you. And basically what they're trying to do is, at the end of the day, black man, you're gonna fail. Not if you don't do exactly what we say, exactly what his white folks say, exactly what these black women tell you, white women, everybody's gonna tell you what you need to do. And if you don't do it, and then you try to be your own person, you're gonna fail miserably, and they're gonna take all of your stuff. They're gonna take all of your fortune. They're gonna take your women are gonna leave you, and so forth and so on. So this is an issue, man, that I'm going to address now, because we got to stop this. This was the reason, like I said earlier, that we don't even support our own fighters, because we believe somebody's going to beat them. I used to go to this barbershop, and this guy's a black guy and everything, and I'm like, every fight that came out, he would go against the black fighters because he thought they were going to lose. He was a De La Hoya fan, and he thought that, man, I'm like, how you a De La Hoya fan, man? He's really not that. I mean, he's good, and he's an excellent fighter, but there's fighters out here that's true fighters that he cannot beat. From your Bernard Hopkins, he was ducking a few fighters so that he wouldn't have to fight these guys early. And it wasn't a talent. He didn't know boxing talent. What it was with him was he was just against his black fighters and black community. It dumbfounded me. It made me think to myself, is this for real, man? Dude, is it that these people really, is it that they don't know boxing or they do know boxing and they just go against their own kind? And this black community is one of the few communities where I see we will go against our own just because we have an inferiority complex against them. We think that they're not going to make it. We look at each other and we like, man, he's bound to fail. We see it in our storylines and movies. You know, I heard somebody say that with Snowfall, he was morally wrong. And when they asked him, you know, what was the issue? He was like, well, everybody brought up the moral issue to him. But when they brought up the moral issue to the CIA agent, he looked at him and said, there ain't no moral issue. You guys did it. You did it to yourselves. We put the drugs in your community. We pushed the numbers on you. We gave you the how to sell it, but you was the one that bought it. So it's at the end of the day, it's your fault. So they take no moral side on what's going on. It's your fault. So why should we always be the moral compass of the world when at the end of the day, it don't mean anything? Again, I mentioned this before. We're fighting on equality moral issue, and the people that we're battling against are on some power take charge issues or things that they deal with. How can you fight and deal with another group of people when you're morally trying to just make yourself equal to them and they're trying to take control and push power onto you? Again, we cannot battle with another people when we feel as though we are hamstringed by morality. And these people are not hamstringed by morality. They are pushed for power. They want power. So for you to keep telling me that all these shows that we get, from Snowfall to Power, other movies, you know, how we could justify a man's son killing him and justify it as being right for him to take over. For his death, everybody else grow. You know, this is the issue that I have problems with. I know I'm on a rant. I know I'm all over the place, but take my hand, walk with me for a little while, because we're going to have to figure this out. We're going to have to figure out why do all our shows that show us as powerful men trying to get ahead in life through money, maybe the streets, whatever we have to do, we're hamstringed by morality, and we die at the end where everybody else prosper and we pass away. And our boxing, you know, we've had undefeated fighters. We've had fighters that went decades without losing, where we could have been betting our money on. We could have been taking chances with these fighters and help them to grow, because there's Mexican and other non-black fighters, promoters and fighters that will go to the end for their fight. They'll pay big dollars, even though they know my fighter might not be able to win this. They will take a $10,000 bet from you. So we, as a people, so against our own that we won't stand behind our own athletes and make the bets to win these fights. You know, I don't understand it. I know I might be off a little bit. I know the morality police may look at me and say, Scud on one today. All he wanted to do is he wanted to, you know, prop up the black race and black men and stuff, which I do, but I have a leg to stand on with this. This is something that we could have taken our families and friends out of poverty. Just think if you'd have spent a $500 to $1,000 bet on Mayweather every time he fought, not even knowing how good or bad he is, not even having the business acumen to understand that this is a bet. But to me, it was basically, easy money because Mayweather was on top of every fight that he fought, and every fighter he was overwhelmingly better than. We should have been betting. We should have been behind these athletes and these fighters and with real money and not I'm gonna bet a 5 here, I'm gonna bet 3 here. We could have had boxing camps. We'd take a lot of money and we'll put into these football and basketball camps, which I enjoy and agree on. But you're sending these kids to, you're not sending them to like black, you're not sending them to like black leagues. You send them to NCAA and pro leagues, which are dominated at the top by white folks. So they're at the end going to get the money off of these guys. Now, with the individuals like boxing and tennis and stuff like that, you could have made money. What if you'd have bet on Serena games? What if you'd have bet on Andre Ward fights? You would have won all the time. These guys never lost. Pernell Whitaker took decades for him to lose. Norfolk should have been betting money on him every day. You would have been super rich if you'd have bet $1,000 on every Pernell Whitaker fight. And I'm not saying that you got to spend $1,000 on every fight, but to put anything on, it could have been a bet. It could have been a bill that you owed, and instead of just giving them the straight money to the bill, David, the bill was $200-$300, and you bet $200-$300. You had $600, but maybe you bet $100, $200. You could have paid the bill and kept your money. I know that's a long shot, and that I wouldn't say do that on a regular because some, like you said, anything could happen, man. People throw fights or like in the Pernell Chavez fight, they took that fight from him. They made sure that Chavez stayed on top because they needed him to be on top. So now that was the issue where you would have had a problem with it because they took that fight from Pernell. But these other fights right here, this is not a reach for us to make any money off of that. So, oh man, I'm saying it's far-fetched, man. But you got to realize, man, I'm one of them street cats sometimes, man, and I've had a good family too. But then again, I know the streets and I know come-ups. I know ways of coming up. I've done things, man, to make the come-ups, man. So it's just something I'm talking about, man. This is not I think every black man should do, but the thing that I have the problem with is that we as black men, we don't stand behind our own talent and acumen of success that we bring to the table. I always wish sometimes, man, that we would have our own leagues and we would, and our fighters will have a little more financial backing because we got a true gem in these athletes. That Gervonte Davis, man, is something special, man. Everybody knows it. It's not just hype. The other guy was hyped. He was a YouTube hype. Gervonte was a 5-year-old phenom. Anybody that knew of him knew that he was good from a young child. Anybody from the D.C., Maryland area knew that this man wasn't propped up from anything. He came out of that camp that the guy from the Y used to run. So it's he's proven. Anybody who was foolish enough to put their money on Ryan Garcia bought into this YouTube hype, or they bought into the pretty boy status that he could bring, and that he could bring mainstream women and young guys from the YouTube to pay attention to the fights. When really, man, Gervonte Davis was your man, and we all knew that from the get-go and the gate. So that's another issue that we're gonna go. But at the end of the day, I'm just telling you, man, that this was was a wonderful fight. It was pretty much predictable. Guy had no, he had no, he had nothing to protect him from that body onslaught that Gervonte was bringing. He's a better counterpuncher. He reached too much when he threw his punches because he was trying to knock Gervonte's head off. And if you miss and then you leave yourself wide open for a counterpuncher, and that's what he did. So I don't understand why more people didn't do it to bet on this. I'm going to tell you the story one day about what happened to me this weekend. It was sad, it was pitiful, but it also plays into the fact that they really don't respect us as black men out here in the streets. Our women give us a hard time because they're basically haters. I hate to say they haters, man. I was at a bar, and when Gervonte Davis won, I was like, man, how you like to fight and everything like that. First thing came out of my mouth was, oh, he's a wife beater. He ain't nothing. I'm like, huh? I didn't even know he was married, but she was like, he beats women and stuff like that. So, he ain't gonna be around long. He gonna meet to him in a minute and all that stuff. And I was like, man, that's exactly what I'm talking about. They don't respect us. They don't feel anything about us. We're basically tools to them. And once you realize that, you can move accordingly and take care of yourself and make sure that you have something. So I saw that as it was an eye-opening experience, man, where they talk about Gervonte, man, the way that we don't capitalize off of his of the black man's strengths and weaknesses. We tend to just use us as tools or as a means for getting our point across. I never thought of it, but I just saw black women do not respect this man for some reason, and then these black gynocentric men are the same way. If a woman tell you they don't respect you, then they don't respect you. If you're not a tool for a woman, then they don't consider you anything. I've heard plenty of guys. We had the discussion this weekend. How can a black man? I asked, and I asked my sister one time. I said, "What's a good black man?" She was like, "A provider, a protector. He's got to be, he's got to be a family man and this and that." And I'm like, man, that's not true, because him being a provider, protector is a provider and protector for you. Him being somebody that could, that needs something. I mean, that can build a community. They want you to build a community for them. When we talked about this earlier, man, you got your own. Where's your agenda for yourself? If you don't have one for yourself, then that's where you have the issue with being a man, because you don't know where you stand in this world, what your true abilities are. You don't know who you really are until you figure out what you are here for. And you're not here for the tools of your women and your children. You're here for for your purpose in life and for the betterment of civilization, not just your community, but civilization itself. When you leave here, the world is supposed to be a little better from your part, from your foot, from what you did in this world. So rethink your issues. Rethink how your lady thinks about you sometimes, and how our women talk about you, because it's not all about how they feel about you, because that stuff can change at any moment. It's how you grow and make things happen in life. Yeah. It's tough. It was a tough one this weekend, man. I mean, I've been through a lot. It was. I'm gonna tell that story, man, but I think it's a little too early, man. Those who know what went down earlier with me, they wished me well, and my the family members that knew what went down with me, man, they understood, and I'm hoping that I'm sitting out telling them I'm fine and everything is good. So we'll talk about it another day. And for those who those who want to do better, man, always be trying for the next play. That's all I can tell you, man. Some things go well, some things go bad, but keep trying for that next play. Don't let these movies and these shows deter you from being a better man and getting what you want out of life, because they will. That as much as I love Snowfall and that series, man, that was a very depressing and upsetting view of the black man. Power is another thing, man. That shows me, man, that they basically think, man, at the end of the day, you either gonna get killed, go to jail, or go crazy. And these things, I hope you don't buy into. So I've been running my mouth, man. It was a good talk. I hope we understand each other. One day we'll be able to thrive, get into other things. And this was a lovely this was a podcast that need to be seen and told. We're gonna get back to the art. If you like what we do around here, man, you like, share, and subscribe, and understand that I'm here for the black man in the black community to move ahead. Don't let nobody tell you, man, it ain't no black community, because they living off of your black community standards. All these guys that think, man, I don't have, it ain't no black community. Black men don't, we don't owe y'all nothing. Yeah, you do, because you out here wearing stuff you personally did not come up with. Rap and Gucci and rocking your the clothes we wear and the stuff we say and stuff. You personally, and you got that from a community of black men. So to act like you don't owe back to that is sacrilegious at the least, to me. You can't come around here talking about I'm wearing Gucci and hoodies and I'm fly as hell, and you think that you just came up with that yourself. No, this was a black community man thing. So if you can't show homage to that, then what you're doing is you worse than those vultures that they talk about. Those community vultures. You take on our stuff, but then you act like you don't owe us anything, and that's not true. So that's something else that we're gonna talk about one day in life, and we'll talk about maybe in the next podcast. But right now, we're going to move on out. I'm glad you came on through. And remember, always be ready for that next play, because it's coming up. Peace.